नमस्कार.
नमस्कार अभिजीत जी, कैसे हैं?
I'm always sorry. कुछ ये टेक्निकल चीज हमेशा होती है. So there was something going on.
No problem. Relax. I'll make some opening remarks, and
Sure.
then you can join the chat. Your image is tilting, so you can fix it in the meantime.
Yeah. Sure.
A little more down so that your face is visible. It's too much on the top. Take it slightly. That's better. That's better. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Uh, I want to tell the instant Instagram live Rasikas who have been following us for the last several weeks when we have had a interesting chat with several leading artists both from the Hindustani stream and the Carnatic stream. And I must tell that Carnatic music and Hindustani music, the Indian classical music per se, is very serious business. The Rasikas are the followers of this music essentially are very conservative and they frown upon any change.
Correct.
Now, it's very difficult for the performer to reach across to a Rasika with a different kind of an idea. It takes a lot of
Right.
time and it's a lot of culturing. Now, there are, in my memory, in recent times, there have been two exceptions. The first exception was Mandolin Srinivas, who took a Western instrument, played Carnatic kritis on that, and went popular, and I would even say went viral into the
Yeah.
international music scenario. The second exception is possibly Abhijit Pohankar from the Hindustani strain, but what Abhijit Pohankar had to face was even more difficult. Fortunately, in Mandolin Srinivas' case, he was the first generation musician, though his parents were also musicians, but they were not performing on the platform. Whereas in case of Abhijit Pohankar, he selected a rank Western instrument like a keyboard, and he belonged to a family which already had several generations of musicians, and hence the fight to establish a separate space for himself was far more intense because number one, he had to satisfy the family needs because there are expectations from the family that you will do what we have been doing for centuries. So that battle he had to win first, and the second battle, a far more larger one, was bringing a rank Western instrument into the classical music stage, and not only bring it to the stage but establish himself as a musician and as a performer in his own merits. So compliments to you, Abhijit, for having won a
Thank you.
double battle, both in your family front and on the music front, and you have succeeded in both at a very young age. And my compliments to you on behalf of the entire team of NSYNC.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ganesh Kumar sir.
Now, with that, we start the chat. I just mentioned that you have had a pedigree and you have had generations of musicians behind you. Now, can you tell us a little more about how classical music was constantly there in your family right from your birth?
So that's a very good question. Basically, I'll give you a little bit of the background of how I grew up. Um, we were basically from Jabalpur, a small town in Madhya Pradesh back then. This was the 70s because I was born in about late 70s. So at our place in Jabalpur, there used to be all these big artists who used to come there for performances, and they used to stay at our house. Because earlier in those days, there was no hotel stay or something. Artists used to come and then they used to stay at some important people's houses
Right.
of that particular town. And it was not about just one day or one night. They used to stay for 2, 3 nights, 2, 3 days, and then a lot of music used to happen. And I was very, very young, I didn't even know. But stalwarts like, Pandit Jasraj ji, or even before my birth, or just during my birth, I think Begum Akhtar ji, of that stature, artists used to be there. And I didn't know anything about it, obviously. So the sanskar is a very important part of music always. So even if you see some new musicians or musicians suddenly rise to fame, but we really don't know whether they have the sanskaras, which is the most important thing of any type of music, I think. You know. So for example, a businessman or even a bania has that sanskar of how to be in a shop, and it is just in his blood. And that all happens because of his surroundings. Similarly, in music, but that's something what happened with me. And then we came to Mumbai later in the early 80s. So I thought that I was always surrounded with these musicians, and I used to go to my father's concerts back then at Savai Gandharva and all that. I was very small, but I used to hear that subconsciously it went into my mind. The ragas, especially like ragas like Kaushi Kannada and all these beautiful ragas. So they were in my subconscious mind. And plus one more thing I would like to say here, that my family always heard a lot of different music genres, not just classical. So in our house, there was always a Mehdi Hasan Saab ghazals playing, Ghulam Ali ji, and then Begum Akhtar ji, Jagjit ji, ghazals. Of course, Lata ji and Asha ji, Rafi Saab, Kishore Da for Bollywood music. So, it was never a strict rule that you have to only listen to classical music, and that somehow has been my personality musically, I think so. As you know me. So, a brief background is this.
That's a very interesting prelude. In the sense, what you say is very right that when it comes to classical music, sanskar is the starting point,
Yeah,
and that actually propels you to learn more, to engage yourself more intensely into the music. And you are extremely lucky to have been born to Pandit Ajay Pohankar and your dear mother, and both of them are singers in their own right, and both have been singing on the platform for. In fact, your father himself was known as a child prodigy.
yes, yes, yes,
So,
absolutely.
the connect with the performers has been there for generations. And I also know
Right.
that your grandmother was a great singer. And
Yeah.
every year you do an event in Mumbai in memory of
G,
your
G.
grandmother. So all this actually laid the seeds for you
Yeah.
to blossom as a full-fledged musician. Now,
Correct.
you must tell us why your entire family was known for vocal singing. I mean, they were actually singers. And
Yeah.
while the nuances of the ragas obviously went into you, but when and why did you take this conscious step to break away from the tradition and take on to keyboard? I mean, if you had taken on to say sitar or a sarod or a santur, yes, one can still see that you're connected to the classical music. But you took a very, very different instrument, which was actually a Western instrument, and it was
Correct.
actually standard. The Rasikas would say, no, this is a very artificial song. This is
Yeah.
the prima facie impression of any good music lover. They would say this
Absolutely.
our instrument. So you must
Correct.
explain to the world and to me, of course, as to why did you think of that break and what prompted
Right.
you? How did you do it and when did you do it?
Sure. So just to tell you that I used to sing first. I was a vocalist. I used to, obviously, but I used to sing ghazals back in
Okay.
the 90s. So I went to learn from Suresh Wadkarji also, because light, the art of semi-classical light music is different than classical music. And my father always thought that it's always good to learn from people who are expert in it. If you want to learn ghazals, then learn from somebody who sings ghazals, like that. So I used to sing ghazals, but the problem was during the 20s, as you know, male voice gets transformed into, thicker voice. And
Right.
that was the time when I was almost losing it out. Like I didn't know what to do because my voice was getting here and there. Surprisingly, I had this inborn talent of playing harmonium. So I
Okay.
never learned the harmonium. I just played it straight off.
Uh-huh.
And back then, people used to say that these things do not come by learning; these are just there, God gift. So
Absolutely.
the हारमोनियम का जो एक प्लेइंग होता है उसमें एक पंजाब का रंग पूरा मेरे में आ गया था ऑलरेडी. I don't know how, but that just because I'll just tell you a little bit of background. My grandmother was a very good harmonium player, and so was my grandfather and the great grandfather. They used
Oh.
to play with Savai Gandharva and all, such great stalwarts. So I
Uh-huh.
think somewhere from there the harmonium playing came to me. And
Mhm.
that I used to assist while I used to sing ghazals, of course, because ghazal singers always play their own harmonium, if you notice. So I used to do that, and then suddenly this voice thing happened, and I had nothing to do. So I asked my grandmother, now what should I do? Because and then people had started comparing my voice with my father. That your voice is not your father's voice is heavy, it's broad, and people love to talk like that. They love to pull you. So I thought, what to do now? So my grandmother said, why don't you take some instrument which has never been played by anybody in classical music? So I said, the only instrument which I can play right now immediately a little bit is keyboard, because I used to play harmonium. So then I brought a keyboard, and suddenly I found out that sound which was very soothing. I made some some additions in that, not physically but through uh, the digits which are given inside to increase the sustain, reverb, and all that. And I started playing, and suddenly I played Kirwani without anybody's knowledge.
Uh-huh.
And in the night, I was doing this riyaz when my grandmother came out from her room and she said, "This is your instrument. You must concentrate on this." That is
Uh-huh.
how I started playing keyboard. And I thought, wow, this is nice because I can play my harmonium technique also here and the keyboard. So then I started going to a English teacher, that is a Catholic teacher who used to play piano. When he saw my fingering on the keyboard, he said, "You please don't learn from me. Otherwise, forget about me teaching you. Even I will forget what I am playing." Reason is because my technique was self-developed, and it was exactly completely against what the piano players teach or play.
Uh,
And that was self-developed. So in fact, the teacher thought, how is he playing the jhala and jod and all that? Because that is not there. The concepts are not there in piano playing. It's a different playing technique. So then I thought, now I am my own guru. I can't learn from anybody. But I had I used to regard Pandit Shivkumar Sharma ji always as my Manas Guru. I used to love his style of playing. So I thought maybe I can learn from him his music and start playing on the keyboard. So it will give me a correct guidance of classical music. This is in short the story.
Very, very, very interesting to hear this because harmonium is a traditional instrument which is almost played in every household. Every
Yes.
household with music has a harmonium, and it's a part of the normal singing or playing or what have you. So you got involved into the harmonium, but then tell me, harmonium, one hand is busy in putting the bellows,
Yes.
and even
Yes.
when you just spoke, you actually
Yes.
used your left hand to show the fingering. So were
Correct.
you playing on the left hand, or was it the normal hand that you played with?
No, no. I played the normal hand on the right hand, but I started using left hand as the sitar uses the chikari or some. I used to see what could the left hand be used here in context with Indian classical music nuances.
Now, that poses another technical question, Abhijitji. The
Yeah,
chitari is a fixed note, and you just use
correct,
it as support to the main raga that you play. But I
correct.
have noticed when I notice you closely playing yourself, while you are playing the melody part on the right fingering, but there are
Uh-huh.
times when you use the left hand also, in addition to the sympathetic chords, you
Right.
also play sometimes the melody piece. Now that needs a tremendous amount of control over the instrument because both your fingerings, like for example the pipe 80 in the Maharashtrian system, where
Yes,
you know
yes,
persons play with both the hands, and sometimes they use it for the chord or they play both the sing and they use the leg for doing the bellows. And in a
correct.
for you to self invent or self discover that pattern of playing the melody part both on the right and on the left, and also use the chord both on the left and both on the right as the situation demands, is a great I should say an innovation, and that's a great contribution to the Hindustani classical music world because otherwise this beauty would have got lost. So what would you
Right.
like to say?
Again, Kumar Sahab, it is very nice of you that you have really observed it, because I don't think so. 9 out of 10 people have ever even observed what I'm doing. All they are observing is that he's playing a instrument which is not ours. That's all they observe. But I can see that that is why you are known to be not just a connoisseur, but somebody who knows music deeply and observes it. So this again is I would say a self-developed skill which just came out of my hand. And I seriously tell you, I would like to tell this to the world also. Most of my father's singing is also very, very natural. We should not compare him with somebody who had 20, 40 years of talim and they are singing the talim music. No, no, no. I would like to really tell the world here that everything is not about talim. There is something called as natural music.
Absolutely.
Basically, music was always natural. It was never meant to be grammatical. Do you
Yes.
agree to this? When
Absolutely.
music, when music started as human beings, it was always folk music. And folk music is never taught. Folk music is imbibed. Folk music is heard. So similarly, there are some musicians who should be left out of that unnecessary rigid patterns of talim, talim, talim. 9 out of 10 people, they see. I'm known to say all these things, so let me put it on your platform too, because I now already the damage has been done about what I say and what I do.
Damage. It's a contribution to good music. So don't consider that as a negative aspect. It's a positive
Yeah,
aspect. Somebody needs to speak about certain things. See,
correct,
today,
correct, correct,
everyone take the safe attitude in terms of speaking what is politically correct. But there are
correct.
some users who have to express their views, and why not? And in sync
Absolutely.
treats all the observations with the due weightage. So don't even worry about it. Please go ahead.
So, why I'm telling you about my father also, that people are mistaken. He always says, I am from Kirana Gharana. I have learned from Gwalior. He needs to say that to keep in the circle, which is so bad. It is a Ajay Pohankar Gharana. Why don't Gharana is not just about being 100 years. The theoretical aspect of Gharana I am not bringing in here. His style of music is very, very natural, is what I want to tell you. That's why I have observed him that if somebody tries to teach him something, it gets very difficult to him to learn that.
Yeah.
But if you leave him alone, that you just sing Bhageshri or you sing this ghazal which you like, then you see his completely different soundscapes, which are so beautiful, and that is called natural music.
Bird flying in the sky.
Exactly.
Just take
And
it. It suits you. You just go with the wind speed. You just go with the wind. Suddenly make a turn. So
absolutely
musicians by birth are natural people.
correct.
Now the structure is only to give them some substance and
Yeah,
some
yeah,
parameter through which they can express their musical creativity. So
correct,
it's not
correct.
always necessary to bind yourself into that structure and refuse to look beyond. Actually, you are supposed to look beyond and use the
Exactly.
structure of taking off. Like an
Correct, correct.
aircraft uses a runway only to take off. Once you have used the runway, the purpose of the land, the purpose of earth is as
Oh,
nullified. Then you
yeah,
are in
yeah.
it. You just take, and again when you want to land, that is when you need this prop once again. So the
Yes,
development of raga, for example, the manodharma, the creative input of the performer has to be free. It cannot be with shackles. The shackles
correct.
are more of that raga, which is okay. But once you have established that, then you must take. So I'm absolutely with you because I've heard your father so many times. We are good friends, and one thing that keeps him different from the other performers is this sense of naturalness, the sense of
Absolutely.
remove the shackles and just get going and enjoy your
Correct.
music. There are many musicians who enjoy their own singing, and your father is one such person.
Right.
One,
Absolutely, absolutely.
but it is equally important if you have to, blossom. You need to enjoy yourself. If you don't do it,
Correct.
you're not doing justice to yourself. So I am a complete agreement with you, Abhijit ji. Both Ajay ji and your mother have given this sense of right values in music. When I say values, I don't mean the social values. I mean the musical values. And
Correct. Correct.
having acquired the ability on the raga, then you are just transporting that into creating your own space, your own creative abilities. So it need not be
Absolutely.
restricted. So I'm happy that you are doing it and you're saying it openly.
Absolutely. Because the same thing I am following. That's why I gave my father's example. That let us not put everything. That doesn't mean that we are playing or I'm playing the raga wrongly or I'm not keeping the rules. Of course, I am keeping the raga is rules, and you have to. You cannot play Shuddha Gandhar in Bhageshri and Komal Gandhar in Bhageshri. Obviously. So the thing is that the chalan, the rag, everything is correct, but the imagination accompanied by a little bit of differences which is not written in books also should be music, and it is music because ultimately music is for the peace of mind and not to judge.
Absolutely.
90% of the people waste their time by judging. अरे देखते हैं कहाँ पे गलती कर रहा है. That's not music. गलती तो हर आदमी करता है. करने
Right. In fact, I must tell you this incident, a small anecdote. I was playing your music in Chennai to a very conservative friend.
Okay.
And he said, no, no, first of all, if it is keyboard, I don't want to listen to it. So I told
Yeah.
him, close your eyes, don't think it is keyboard, just listen to this. And I think it was your Kibani,
Yeah.
which had recorded. And I said,
Okay.
just close your eyes and don't think it is a keyboard, just listen to it. And for about 10 minutes, he listened to it. And after 10th minute, he said, Ganesh, I accept that this sounds very nice. I said, after all, what is music all about? Music is not science. Music is an art. The
Correct.
music has to have a heart. The music has to give you a sense of bliss. The music has to ensure that you get into a trance. The music is not supposed to start thinking logically. That's not good music. Music is something that gives you a sense of peace. And what is
Absolutely.
coming from keyboard? How does it matter? And I must also tell you this, there was a seminar which I was addressing where this aspect of keyboard being an artificial instrument was also
Instrument.
discussed. To which my counter, I must tell you this because there are a lot of listeners listening to this, young people. My counter to that was the music creativity is in the mind. The fingers are executing it. Now the fingers
Correct.
execute it, say through a sitar, through a santur, through a sarod, or through a flute, and what have you. Or if it's a percussion instrument, then through the tabla or mridangam or what have you. But the creativity, the real flow of juice, of creative juice, is from the mind. And finger is only execution, and the instrument is only a platform through which you are expressing your musical views. So if
Absolutely.
the platform has certain parameters, why not enjoy those parameters, mount over the restrictions of those parameters, and if you are able to express yourself, for example, I'll tell you, the Western chord system is very different. The Western
Yeah.
chord system may not suit your Bhageshri or Kirvani or what have you. But here is one Abhijit Pohankar who has created a chord system which is in keeping with the ragas, and he has discovered on his own as to what are the suitable chords for that music which are not incompatible in that sense, and is able to bring
Absolutely.
out. So why not? Why not accept it as a challenge rather than to scorn on that idea just because you don't understand keyboard? And there was one more constraint that you have overcome. I must tell you this because I may not get this opportunity to tell the people. The
Hey.
Indian music always believes in the gamak aspect or the mean aspect.
Yeah. Correct.
And chikari is an aspect which certain instruments have their advantage, certain instruments don't. For example, a flute cannot have chikari. The flute has to sustain on its own notes. Whereas
Correct.
a sitar can have its own chikari and create a kind of an artificial raga thing through the chikari. Once you do the chikari, you know what the raga is about. So
Correct.
you kind
Correct.
of reinvented this whole possibilities, the technicalities of various instruments, merged them into your, and you have created through electronic method the way to sustain or the way to pitch bend, or I don't know what is the technical
Yeah.
term
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
to kind of go from one note to another seamlessly. Now
Correct.
that is beauty of Indian music. So long as you are able to bring out the beauty of Indian music onto an instrument, why should anybody have an objection? So you
Exactly.
have a lot of research. You have done a lot of work. It is not so easy to think of all this, find a solution. It is so easy to go to a guru and simply learn an instrument and play. But here
Absolutely.
you have created your own space, you have created your own solutions to the challenges, and you have come over those challenges, and today you have successfully launched yourself on the music platform. So, in the meantime, I want you to speak a little more about these technical challenges.
Yeah, I'll tell you. For example, you very rightly again pointed out about the main aspect of how to play that on keyboard. Now, again, there are festivals. I will like to just name the places like festivals in London and big classical festivals. The reason for them not calling me is because I am playing a keyboard.
Hmm.
They would call a piano player. I'm sorry to say this, piano cannot play the 100% Indian classical music for the only reason that there is no beat in that. While
Yeah.
a keyboard can produce a beat. So does the instrument matter or does the music matter? I want to ask this. Just because
Absolutely.
it's an acoustic instrument and it's a beautiful instrument, I personally have. It's one of the greatest instruments. I'm not talking about the good and bad of the instrument. I'm saying for Indian classical music, a mean is required. It's a integral part and important part of this music. If that is not being played, how can you complete it as a, how can you put it in under the Indian classical form? You cannot.
Absolutely. Very
So
true.
that's why in that sense, keyboard has a better standing because I am playing the raga also and I am playing mead also, gamak also, tans also, everything with a gut of different talas, jod, jhala, all the aspects. None of the aspects has been kept aside. That it remains incomplete. So so even for that matter, I always say there are students who come to me and they leave in 10 days. They go back, they don't come to me again. Reason is they want to play the way I play.
Oh,
But I seriously tell you, I haven't found anybody who could adopt that style. I'm not saying that about myself. I'm saying the style itself is such which has been automatically, God gifted that people think that I'm going to play chords and regular keyboards, songs. But when they hear that it's not a song, it's a raga, and you have to improvise, and there is nothing written which I give. I tell them now improvise on these notes. They run away. None of the student has stayed with me for more than 1 or 2 months because they think that it is very easy. But then I tell you, now because I teach ghazals also because that's my hobby. So if there are 20 students with me learning ghazals, there is one learning keyboard.
oh, oh.
Ah. So because it becomes so difficult, and the Westerners they play jazz music mostly. So what happens is jazz music could have a certain different notes which are being played at one time, and when we bind them in a raga, it becomes very suffocating for them to play the raga.
Yes.
Rag could finish in 2 minutes because you are just playing the aro aro. That's not rag. The whole concept of playing in 5 notes and making it a half an hour recital is itself a very difficult thing.
It's a challenge. Yeah.
Challenge. And there is a challenge to it. You cannot just use the notes the way you want it. There has to be a challenge, right? Which is not there in other music. So that's why what I'm saying is that they think that Indian classical music on keyboard might be very easy because you need not tune. That's another compliment I can say sarcastically which I get. That अरे तुमको तो ट्यूनिंग नहीं है ट्यून करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है आ जाओ और भैया some
I want to interject here.
yeah
Again, I was addressing a seminar and I made a point that the only instrument where the performer cannot tune is harmonium. The
yeah
harmonium is tuned by the performer. Harmonium is never tuned by the harmonium player. It is
right
preset, done in the
yes
factory, and
yeah
the performer only plays. So this is an outstanding example of a teamwork. Somebody is doing the tuning, somebody is doing the playing. So it's a kind of a concept where there is a combination of so many beauties. And so what? So long as you are able to bring the beauty of the raga in whichever way you want to do it, and so long as it is nice to hear. But then I must tell
yeah
you, and I must tell you this, I am making an honest attempt, Abhijit ji. Let me assure you that I am trying to create a platform where people will learn to play Hindustani classical music through keyboard, and
oh
you are going to be the resource person.
oh thank you
Because I
so
want to tell the people, I want to tell the institutions that it is important because as an instrument, now today, earlier days, you always wanted a tanpura. But today,
yeah
people have electronic tanpura.
exactly and that's correct absolutely
So you start compromising or you change your lifestyle based on the outside parameters, and it's a dynamic thing. Music is constantly evolving. So
yeah
if you are going to play good Hindustani classical music on a keyboard which is preset, what is wrong? That is advantage one. Advantage two is I've seen you closely doing this. You are able to bring out the beauty of different instruments by a flick of a button, which in any other instrument is not possible. For example, you want to give a feel of a violin. Just at the flick of a button, what you are playing, the output sounds like a violin, or it can sound like a flute, or it can suddenly transpose and go to the lower octave. You are playing there, but with the touch of a button, you have changed your octave. Now, these are all several hidden advantages in the keyboard, which is not being optimally used. Abhijit Pohankar has learned to use it. But how many have made an effort to do all this? So I think there is a need from the society point of view to ensure that people like you, who are self, thinkers, who are people who have discovered a new space, to take you to the outside world and ensure that from the society people will start learning. So I'm in the process of creating a class for keyboard class to play Hindustani music, and you are going to be the
So,
resource person because I want the good
yeah,
work that you've done, not to be
yeah,
lost. And
correct.
also, if the space is not given to you in the next 5 6 years, you will also get frustrated. भाई मैंने तो कर दिया मगर उसके आगे क्या मेरे बाद
Yeah,
ये करने वाला है तो ये जो
correct.
बड़ा क्वेश्चन मार्क है इसको भी आंसर करना हम जैसे फैसिलिटेटर्स की अकाउंटेबिलिटी है people
So
like
true.
me who are the facilitator, whether I handle a television channel or whether I run an institution or whether I advise the society what is right in musicality,
Correct. Correct.
it is necessary that good things which have come out through the churning have to be
Absolutely. And also the viewpoint of the listeners needs to be, just change, से मैं ज़्यादा कहूँगा, needs to be addressed. कि कैसा, how to, why you are getting into all these things of technical and non-technical. Just enjoy the music. See what a person has done in the sound. See, there are only two types of sounds. It is harsh to your ears or it is melodious.
true.
If it is melodious, now in keyboard what happens is many times I see many people use those very bad patches. It's called as patch. The sound is called as patch. But I have made an effort that whenever I play classical music, I don't fiddle to too many sounds. Like for example, I don't want to replicate somebody which is not possible here on keyboard. So it is 99% only a piano sound with some additions of mine. And I have kept the sustain as the main important point, जिसको हम हिंदी में आस कहते हैं, जो क्लासिकल म्यूजिक की जान,
पैदा हो गया
जो ठहराव है, जो आस है, वो सा जब या गंधार बजता है तो गंधार की जो आस जाती है वो इम्पोर्टेंट है. कीबोर्ड में वही चीज अगर मैं विदाउट आस बजाऊं तो बहुत गंदा लगेगा. इट साउंड्स टेरिबल.
static yeah
So I can give the examples where sometime when I will play bad keyboard and good keyboard both, so that they understand. Oh, this is okay. Okay, this is sounding horrible. So
uh,
that is the contribution of thinking
uh,
that it should not sound bad. It should sound very melodious. That means thinking. Otherwise, why everybody is not sounding like that?
correct correct
So this is not about me talking about myself at all. Please, those who are listeners, I would like to tell them that it's not about. But people should understand that it has been 22 years of my career now. 20 to 23 years. It's not easy. And as you said, completely going against the current. That and and that happens also because of certain astrological combinations in my chart. Because I'm a student of astrology. So just a little bit of deviation, but
मुझे
that has made me do this. हाँ.
मुझे याद है शायद 20 साल या उसके भी पहले होगा मैं आपके विले पर लेके घर पे आया था आप बहुत छोटे थे तब तो
हाँ.
उससे मुलाकात करने में आया था तभी ऐसे बातचीत हो रही थी तो बताया कि अभिजीत तेरा लड़का है ऐसे अच्छा गाता होगा नहीं गाता है मगर गाता है तो क्या
हाँ.
हो गया मैंने वो कुछ कीबोर्ड करना चाहता है और शायद आपको याद होगी कि मेरा 50th बर्थडे there was a big event in finance society which your father had come and he presented or he launched the dance and Kirtan CD that they had made. तो हमारे आपस में बात होती and I always took this stand that as a son you have given him musicality. Now once you have given that, it is left to him how to make it further. And I know that initial stages there was a little resistance कि भाई जो हमारा फैमिली का एक पहचान है वो शायद इसके वजह से हिल जाएगा. That apprehension was there. But then
Yeah.
you grew so fast, you established yourself so fast. And I remember when you performed in Shanmukhananda with Gulab
Gulab.
Ji,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
veteran and your father alongside, and the kind of magic that you created was amazing. So you quickly proved yourself, and it enabled everyone to hear a sigh of relief. नहीं भाई ये है talent तो है अभी ये तो बढ़ेगा ही आगे. So the family constraints are also there, and like you said, astrologically everyone goes through a phase.
Yes,
Sometimes
yes, yes.
challenges.
I
Sometimes
just
so you say about that. Yeah, tell me
Yeah,
more.
just quickly on this note of astrology, I am taking too long, but It is said that when Rahu, the planet, is in your eighth house of the chart, it makes you do things against the complete current,
System.
complete system, and experimental, completely experimental, and thinking totally different from what others are thinking.
Okay.
So now this could be in some bad things also, but luckily this was in good thing, which is music.
No, but in your chart, it must be on the eighth plus 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 stage.
No, no. It has given me, Kumar Saab, till today, it has given me lot of struggles, which the world even won't know. And struggles are not about eating. Struggles are not about maintaining a car. Struggles are mental struggles that why the acceptance level is still not what I deserve. And no, it's not just about the keyboard. The fusion which I have made with my father, Pia Bauri was the example. I was 26 years, 27 years old when I released that multi-platinum album, because of which a certain new audience was created who used to hate classical music. How many people acknowledge that? They just joined the bandwagon and are earning money after I did the whole thing. And this is to be told now. बोलना बहुत जरूरी है अभी अभी कोई वक्त अभी पीछे छूट गया है अभी आई हैव टू टॉक and I'm not talking before I've done. I first done, now I'm talking, at least. So I
No,
hope you give me this.
I don't think that, Abhijit, you must take a diffident attitude at all. I will tell you
No,
what. Very difficult to establish a brand, and you have already established it. So there is no question of looking back. Now, let me recall when Pandit Ravi Shankar ji took sitar to overseas world, many people scorned कि क्या जरूरत है इसका, जिसको चाहत है वो यहाँ आके सुनेगा, हमें क्यों जाना है उनके पास. There were similar arguments then, but then he went, established a name, and today, because of the popularity of Indian classical music outside India, it has enriched your musical scene. Now every
absolutely.
performer, there is nothing wrong. If
Correct. Correct.
during certain act you have only enriched the music, I think it's an act in the right interest of the music, and I don't think the artists need to feel different at all. On the
Hmm.
contrary, you feel extremely happy that you could live up to this challenge and
Right.
without compromising on the core values.
Correct. Absolutely. The Atma. Now, I also have this hobby of remaking old classics, which I like. So I tried a very dangerous thing of touching Pandit Hridaynath Mangeshkarji's compositions, Marathi compositions, which are like the what do you say? It's an era. Nobody touches it. But I said I would like to see what I could contribute to this amazing composition. So around some years back, I took composition of Ashaji, which is Kema Tahi Pahade. I don't know whether you have heard that beautiful song of
Can you
Hridaynath.
just comment?
Yeah, just a minute. I'll have to open my harmonium, which is here right away.
Wow.
It's a very beautiful melody. So
Actually, you play harmonium so well. I'm tempted to tell you that you also accompany people now on the harmonium. Why not?
no, again there I have a certain this thing that I have always maintained that I won't accompany anybody, but I'll play solo. There is a small story behind this also, which I would like to tell. But before that, I'll quickly complete the Kematari party thing. So I asked Roop Kumar Rathod ji to sing this, and I made a completely symphonic arrangement behind it, and we performed. Today it has reached more than 500,000 hits without a
Oh,
single paisa being put onto it, because all the Marathi people who are so rigid basically for change,
uh,
they are very strict to what the originals are, but even they like, and the whole thing became new to a new audience. So All these experiments are there. Now coming back to the point about you saying that the accompaniment thing.
Uh,
I also used to play another instrument when I was young. I won't name the instrument. आई यूज्ड टू प्ले एंड सर्टन एक पागलपन चला था कि यही करना है मुझे, तो मैं 3-4 साल सीखा वो इंस्ट्रूमेंट। और मैं एक दिन पुणे में गया, बाबा लेकर गए मुझे पंडित भीमसेन जोशी जी के पास घर पे कलाश्री में।
okay.
दिस वाज 1988 व्हेन आई वाज वेरी स्मॉल, 5-7 साल का होगा, 7-8 नो। सो आई प्लेड, ही सेड अरे अजय तुझा मुलगा काय करतो? सो बाबा सेड दैट अरे पंडित जी तो असं असं हे वाजवतोय बघा जरा. So he said, "Acha, वाजव रे." So I started playing. When I started playing, he said, "Wow, wow, very good. You are doing good work. But always remember, try to sit in the middle of the stage."
Oh.
Now this was said by it came from the horse's mouth.
Uh,
And when you are young, it just gets into you so strongly because you don't have any other. It's an open canvas.
correct. Correct.
So Baba looked at me and I looked at Panditji, Anna, and that was such a big impact that he said, "Do whatever you want to do, but sit in the middle of the stage."
It's a very profound statement.
Yeah. So it is not degrading any instrument or anything, but do anything you want, but do it at the center of the stage where everybody is looking at you.
Super.
This has got nothing to do with.
You took the right decision. Whatever you do, always be in the center. Let others follow you. And
So I try my best. ऐसा कुछ it is not about me being proud or anything of these about ऐसा बिल्कुल भी कुछ नहीं, बस ये है कि मुझे again that is another astrological aspect that to not work under somebody, because wherever I have tried to work under people in music, but it has failed miserably on stage.
uh,
So if somebody else is handling a project and they ask me to play a keyboard as an accompanist, you will find a difference of 1 and 100.
right.
Because then my whole mindset of changes. Because I'm not controlling it, I'm just a part of it. And that is another very important thing. And क्या बोलते हैं, एक स्किल है वो दूसरा स्किल है जो मेरे में नहीं है, ये बोलना चाहूँगा।
Yeah, say about it. In fact, I also want to make this point that in your playing in the raga, there is a percussive element in that rendering.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's possibly because of the chord playing or the two hands playing together, but that aspect of the percussive element in a melodic phrase where you give a huge scope to the tabla player or the percussion player is something that's exciting to a listener when the raga is played in a percussive phrase and the percussion kind of replicates the same melodic percussion into that. That's a very exciting kind of a thing to happen on the stage. Now that important component of music is not possible in many other instruments. It is possible in some instruments, but
Yes.
you have done it so well that I have seen some presentations of yours where you are able to keep that melodic phrase intact, but in the percussive aspect where you change the percussive aspect into a kind of a design, and then the percussion follows that design, and there is a second percussion following that design, and new level of excitement is built, and this is very appealing to the younger generation. Now, music, if it only relates to the senior, that is one kind of music. But in my humble view, music should connect even to a child, even to a newborn. If something, yeah. So if it connects to a newborn, a baby, when it shows that expression on the face when you play something, that is what is good music. So music has to relate to wide spectrum of ages, wide spectrum of the social status. Because there are some music which only when you play piano, you're supposed to be very rich and very aristocrat to enjoy piano concert, and otherwise you're not allowed inside. An ordinary villager cannot go and attend a piano concert. But your music, the beauty of your music, Abhijit ji, today let me tell you, is you connect a wide spectrum in terms of age, in terms of social status, in terms of musical understanding. Not
Yeah.
every people understand ragas, but
Yeah.
people understand good melodic phrase. So
Absolutely.
I must compliment you because you have connected the two extreme dots so well in terms of age, in terms of social status, in terms of understanding of good music, and that is a rare combination for any performer. Now, having done this, now this has taken a lot of effort on you, I'm sure. It is not that
Yeah.
it has
Yeah.
come overnight. It has taken a lot of efforts, and sometimes you may even find that an excellent thing that you have done, there is nobody to clap, and that is when
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason is that still I find it difficult when I see not, artists performing a lot. And once I asked this organizer, अरे तो why is this that इनको इतना प्रोग्राम मिलता है, ऐसा क्या है अलग? तो वो अलग नहीं है, इसलिए उनको प्रोग्राम ज्यादा मिलता है. तुमने कुछ अलग किया है तो प्रोग्राम कभी मिलेगा हमेशा. आई एम नॉट कंप्लेनिंग मुझे प्रोग्राम कम है, ये कंप्लेन नहीं है उसके बजाय, लेकिन कहने का मतलब ये है कि दोज हू डू डिफरेंट थिंग्स and it takes lot of time to establish that genre or that thinking जो लोगों को समझे. Though I have tried to simplify everything, like for example, my Bollywood Gharana is another experiment. You had come for that concert also, which was the
Yes.
last concert, where I had seamlessly joined Indian classical music with songs which could never be thought that it's in Rag Vimpalasi or it is based on Vimpalasi, and it is a cabaret song of Asha Bhosle ji and R.D. Burman. So, this seamless mix needs to have taste and knowledge of both the genres. Otherwise, you can't do it. So नया सुनने का है या वही वही वही. So that organizer told me, had you done your repetitive song which चलता है, जो मार्केट में चलता है, वो अगर तुमने कर लिया होता ना, तो अभी तुम भी ऐसे ही होते. So what he meant to say. So then he himself agreed that that means that whatever sells is something which is very designed and rehearsed upon and put forward, for the public. But it's fine because सब एक जैसे नहीं हो सकते. So that's what I
But
believe.
the number of events do not determine the quality of the artist.
No, no, no,
Somebody,
not at all. Not at all.
but it will be like you said, it could be of a repetitive nature. Somebody might be
Absolutely.
performing, but it could be a different take. So it's all a question of a need for a personal space and how you
Correct.
respect that space. And you have
Correct.
created it. You can only become better now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that वो तो चलता ही रहेगा.
Hello. Because unfortunately, the world today runs behind popularity. People think the number of hits or the number of followers is a certificate that you are there. But I don't
Correct.
think there are great
Right.
scholars who may not be even present in the social media, but they are great
Right.
scholars.
Right. Right.
So this
Absolutely.
is one aspect of the story. That is another aspect of the story. So, but
Correct.
let me come back to your analytical attitude of your mind. You're constantly analytical. You're constantly wanting to experiment. Now you have
Yeah.
created several brands like Pia Bawari was one of the biggest hits that we had,
Yeah.
and after
Yeah.
that you have done so much. Now, what is in it? What is there in future for you? What is it that is still bothering your mind that I need to do this?
See, actually, I sleep very less. I sleep only 4 hours in the night, thinking about this, and that has made me completely. My doctor has said,
I must check with your wife.
and this is a reality. Like last night also, I came and I thought, what is now happening? What should be the new thing? So I have just shot something on a digital piano
Uh-huh.
with ghatam and pakhawash as the percussion instruments and not tabla.
Wow. Uh-huh.
So the project is called as Sounds of Shiva,
Wow.
and I'm slightly making it more as a concept product rather than a classical solo recital.
Mm-hmm.
So there the sound of different instruments like ghatam, they went off so well with the keyboard. In fact, I would like Insync to show that video. There are 3-4 videos which I have shot, and if it
You,
is possible.
you We will be glad to show that video. But I have one more assignment in my mind for you.
Ji.
I want you to develop 30 ragas, each raga for about 8 minutes. And each of these 30 raga, each would have a different accompaniment.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay.
So some of them Carnatic, some of them Hindustani, some of them folk. I don't know what.
Western. Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
still going through my mind that
Correct.
somebody needs to document these ragas. And maybe we can request your father to join this project. So the beauty of
Sure.
the raga will be established in 8 minutes, and each raga presented according to the flavor of that raga. We use a
Ji.
Carnatic accompaniment or a Hindustani accompaniment or a folk accompaniment or a northeastern accompaniment. I don't know what.
Correct.
So
Correct.
we
Correct.
have beauty of Indian and present this as Bharatam. The
Wow.
beauty of. So this is what is going on in my mind, not only in
So
my
we
mind,
put on
also.
it.
So we have to work out something different. Abhijit, you have a caliber of doing something different. And doing something different must also achieve success.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
doing
Absolutely.
for the sake of success is one, for the sake of doing is one, but it also needs to be noted by the society at large. So I'm
Absolutely.
going to
Absolutely.
that it will give you an international space. It will give you a
Sure.
different kind of connect with people. And let me tell you today, with the breakthrough in technology, live audience will very slowly become irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
It will
Correct.
become digital. And when it becomes digital audience, one thing that can immediately take you is person artists like you, because you're already established in that space. And
Right.
to that level of the sound, the volume, and things like that. So the live audience is slowly actually missing out. So we also
Mm-hmm.
evolve. The artists have to evolve, the institutions have to evolve, the platform has to evolve. So I'm sure at an appropriate time we'll sit on this.
It's a huge task, but we definitely the dent has been done since last few years, and the dent has led us to a completely new lifestyle.
Right.
And this is one of them. Listening
Yeah.
to music in a different way, because then automatically monopolies will go down. Automatically the direct consumer, which is my audience, will connect to me rather
Yes.
than I going through organizers and you know how it works. So
Nothing is required anymore. You are connecting
yeah,
directly
yeah.
to you.
It's like a cryptocurrency which is going to come in music. No
I
backing
would
required.
say marriage without a Brahman.
Yeah.
रस्सी तो हो गया सब काम. Boss, your
Bilkul.
rust are your parameter. They are your real test whether
Correct.
you are growing. So long as the Rasikas are impressed with the kind of music that you are turning out. Now it doesn't matter whether you have students or not. So I'm going to address 2, 3 things. One is I'm going to get you students and
Ji.
make the process of teaching a success,
Yeah.
process of keyboard classical music a success. Number two, we are going to work on these 30 ragas. Of course, NSYNC would be glad to play whatever that you have in the meantime done. We'll be glad to do that. And let me tell both you and through you to your team that NSYNC is nobody's business. NSYNC is our business.
Correct.
It doesn't belong to somebody. It belongs to the fraternity. It belongs to the
Yeah.
entire community, which is serious in terms of bringing out good classical music.
Good content. Correct.
So this is what we are going to do. And Abhijit
Correct.
ji, my pronouns to you, my uh,
Oh,
uh, bucket full of
well,
thanks.
Sambhashan, you are elder. Please don't do that. I have to do a pranam to you. I always have respect, lot of respect, like a fatherly figure and a mentor always. You have always been there. I still remember concerts in 2004 of Mood Indigo and all. 5, 7,000 people sitting and you were there. It's not 4, 5 years back. It was some 20 years back, 18
Yeah,
years back. So I know you since then.
absolutely. So my compliments to you, your family, your father, your dear mother, and my pronouns to all of them, and to the
Thank
musical
you.
leadership that you have brought back. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you so
Abhijit.
much.
Pleasure
Thank you.
talking to you. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Good.